Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Zero's Giving Tuesday coverage here on Facebook. I'm excited to introduce you to a special member of the Zero family right now. Please welcome Barry Berglund. Thank you for joining us from your home in Greensboro, North Carolina. How you doing today, Barry?
Good, Sean. It's always good to see you. Even
Thank
though
you.
we're, shall we say, we're socially distant appropriately.
That's correct. But we're always connected in heart, right, Barry?
That's correct.
That's
Absolutely.
right. So you just recently made a donation to support our matching gift offer for the Zero COVID-19 Patient Relief Fund, and we appreciate you doing that. Tell us a little bit about why that was important for you to be one of the donors that were matching other folks' donations.
Well, I consider myself now, after 2.5 years, to be a survivor, and I think when you have a metastatic Gleason 9 prostate issue, you're always appreciative of each day that you get, but each day that you go forward, I think you're even more thankful that you're still there. And with what's going on right now across the world, anything any of us can do to make it better, I think that's what you want to do. And gosh, when you have a challenge grant like this, so if you give a buck, they give a buck. I mean, how can you do better than that? So for me, the motivator was doubling my impact.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it feels, well, one, it feels good to give, right? And two, to know that your gift will have twice the impact just makes it, I think, that much more powerful of a gift to give to the folks who are fighting prostate cancer right now and also dealing with, some of the COVID circumstances. Certainly we have men who are reaching out to us because they're, filing for unemployment, they need financial assistance. Sometimes they have to choose between paying their utility bills or getting their treatment. And that's something that here at Zero, we never want somebody to have to make that kind of a choice or to stop doing their prostate cancer treatment, because of reasons like that. So it's really wonderful that you, as one of our most generous donors, have supported the effort here for our, money for the spring campaign, the Patient Relief Fund for the COVID-19 folks. So tell me a little bit, we're raising, our goal today is to raise $25,000 on Giving Tuesday. And with your match, that'll be $50,000 towards the fund. Can you share with those who are watching with us, why do you think it's important to be making a donation during the match this time?
Well, I think a lot of us are fortunate, in terms of what resources we have. And I learned as a youngster from my dad, to whom much is given, much is expected. So if you're in one of those positions where you are blessed with resources to share it with others, there's probably no greater thing that you can do. Right now, of course, with all the other extraneous and extremely important things happening, anything you can do to reduce the concern or worry of somebody who's already dealing with prostate cancer, I think it's just the right thing to do. And I feel good doing it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. I think, your dad taught you well there with that little adage of, given to others and taking care of others. There's another side to the prostate cancer fight in the midst of the COVID crisis, and that is the mental and emotional battle that comes with prostate cancer. So great that we can have this matching gift fund and raise money to help folks who need financial assistance and those kinds of resources. But what about the guys who maybe were just diagnosed with prostate cancer before the virus outbreak? They're not able to get to their treatments right now. Maybe their cases aren't deemed life-threatening enough for that to be happening. And certainly, of course, the doctors know best, certainly wouldn't put anybody in a life-threatening circumstance, but mentally and emotionally, that's quite a thing to deal with. And you're one of our members of our Patient and Caregiver Advisory Board. What would you say to men who are in that position right now?
Well, yeah, it's interesting you mentioned I had a conversation with my doctor a week ago at Johns Hopkins on the phone about what's going on right now. And it is a real issue for the major medical centers that are putting so much of their energy right now into the COVID-19. And there are places where they refer to prostate surgery as elective, which I'm who would ever elect for a prostatectomy? I know no one that would do that. But if you think about, you have a diagnosis, but you can't get treated for it, that just overall increases the level of stress that you have. And for some people, particularly on the more serious sides, the likelihood is they're going to put you on androgen deprivation therapy just as a holding agent until they can take care of you. That's a palliative. It stretches the process out. It may keep the prostate cancer from growing, but you still know you're the one who's carrying it around. So anything you can do to reduce that level of stress, you want to do. And it's interesting you mentioned that. I'm in conversation right now on the Zero site with someone who is right at that particular place, metastatic prostate cancer, very concerned. What can I do? A second opinion. Everything is just harder now as a result of what all the medical facilities are going through. Mm-hmm. So that's just an added stress factor that you really don't need.
Mm-hmm. And that would be the Zero Connect on Facebook.
Right.
I think that you're referring to there, and that is an excellent virtual or remote resource that is available to men and to caregivers and family members and friends, who want to support the folks who are going through that battle right now. That's a great place for folks to be able to go and post their questions, their concerns, lean on each other, get some support. And I think that that's really, really important. Now, Barry, I see you're wearing your Zero Run Walk shirt. Is physical activity something that you do to relieve stress as well? Do you recommend that for prostate cancer patients?
I think anyone who's in any kind of treatment modality will hear from their care team how important it is to stay as healthy as you can and physically fit. So I have put myself through 6 years of working with a personal trainer. And I thought, oh, good. Now that I don't have to go over there, I'm free of this. Now, we did it this morning on while you and I are talking right now. So my last 5 appointments have been virtual. And frankly, it works quite well.
Yeah.
You find how resourceful you are when something that's expected suddenly disappears. You can find a way to work around. Maybe you don't get exactly the same result, but you feel good that you're doing it. Yeah. Let me say something else about the Facebook site, the contact site. In the current situation right now, I'm dealing with someone on that site. It's actually the spouse. I think this isn't unusual. I've noticed that a lot of times the people that you're seeing are not the actual person with the prostate cancer. It's a spouse or it's a loved one who's sort of deputized to do this. And so in this particular case, the questions were really good and they were similar to some things that I was familiar with. So I simply said, send me a private email and I'll give you my phone number. I mean, because at a certain stage, you're getting into too much detail. It's better if you just have a contact if both parties are comfortable doing that, which is what I think a patient advisory board would certainly look at. How do you increase the depth of information that you can provide, realizing we're not medical professionals, we're dealing with it, and everybody's slightly different. And all you can talk about basically is your own experience.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of your own experience, will you tell us a little bit about how you got connected to Zero and a little bit about your journey? I know that right now you're in a good place, but it's been a heck of a few years here, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm at about 2.5 years now. I had gone through the usual PSA screening each year, and my PSA went up just slightly. It was just slightly above 4. And we watched it for a while, and then finally the urologist said, well, let's do a biopsy. And we did the biopsy, and it looked like it was going to be Gleason 3-4 or 4-3. We weren't sure. So based on my age, early 70s, I was in really good condition. I said, well, let's go ahead and do the prostatectomy, which we did. And the pathology report was devastating. It was 4 and 5 and 5 and 4. And at that stage, when you have indications and some lymph node involvement that you have metastatic disease, I elected to go to Johns Hopkins for a second opinion. Not that I didn't have wonderful care locally, but this was really serious. And I thought, well, I need to go someplace that's really at the cutting edge. And fortunately or unfortunately, my diagnosis fit into a category that was going to phase 2 clinical trial. And the trial is called TED, which stands for Total Eradication of Disease. And so my treatment consisted of 4 sessions of docetaxel of chemo, 69 gray of radiation, and 2 years of androgen deprivation therapy, which I've completed. Since I began the therapy, at the very beginning, actually, after the first chemo treatment, my PSA has been undetectable now for more than 2 years. So my last appointment with my doctor, Dr. Pienta, at Hopkins was about 2 months ago. And I went in to see him, and he said, I don't need to see you anymore. He basically, I really like seeing you, but I don't need to see you anymore. So I was sent home with, I want to see a PSA and a testosterone level for every 90 days for the next year, and then we'll see what happens. He said, I want it 90 days just in case something does come up, I want to get on it right away. So I ended up in a clinical trial. Phase 2 is completed on it now. I'm an honor graduate, so that's a good feeling.
That's wonderful news. And so what would you say to men who maybe are in that position where they could be part of a clinical trial? What would you say to those fellas?
I would say to anyone who's got significant disease, go for a second opinion. There's absolutely nothing that your primary physician, the surgeon who did the surgery or who's treating you, is not going to be the least bit nonplussed if you go seek a second opinion. This is an expectation. And because we've got, I call them the temples around the United States, whether it's Mayo or Cleveland or MD Anderson or Memorial Sloan Kettering or Hopkins or numbers of different places that are on the research frontier, I think if you have significant disease, that's a really good option for your second call. And if you have something that's fit in, when I walked into Hopkins for my first appointment, he was ready to do the clinical trial. I started immediately because he'd identified that what I had met the specifications of the clinical trial that they were enrolling. So you have options with a clinical trial that I really like. And even if the trial that you're in, if you're not successful, you're going to present learning for someone else later. And so for me, the thought of, if I can't beat this, I want somebody to learn something from it. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that was a big motivator. And my family has had a very not good history with cancer. I lost my wife to a glio, my mother to ovarian, my father to brain, my brother to a glio. So I've just had so much cancer that I want to see that my son, who's 45, that he will reap the benefits of what I'm doing, and he is, as will my grandson. So the whole issue of the clinical trial and learning something about it, you just have options. And so I would say to anybody with a serious disease, get a second opinion. And if you can find a trial that's open, gosh, enroll in it, or at least listen to what they have to offer.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. You made mention of your son and your grandson. What is your grandson's name, by the way?
Owen.
Owen. Wouldn't it be great if we could achieve generation 0 for Owen? The first generation free of prostate cancer, where he didn't have to worry about that himself or for his dad. Certainly having his grandfather having had it and fought the battle, I'm sure that that's impacted him on some level. So wouldn't it just be so nice if we could give our children that gift? I think that would be really terrific.
Well, if I go back 20 years, 30 years, and I look at people who had disease that I've got right now, I wouldn't be here. Because back 20, 30 years ago, when people were investing in research that came up with treatment modalities that have taken care of my cancer, if somebody hadn't done that for me, you and I wouldn't be having this conference right now, this call.
And so that's absolutely true, Barry. And, really even in just the last 5 to 10 years, the number of advances that have been made, thanks to all of the wonderful donors who have supported research efforts, to all the scientists and doctors who are keeping at it. Dr. Pienta there at Johns Hopkins, he's he's in mad pursuit of finding the cure for this awful disease that takes far too many men from us, every day. Still, we lose a man every, I think it's 17 minutes now. Certainly something we want to keep in mind. Well, Barry, it's been really wonderful to chat with you as survivor, grandfather, father, spouse, all of these wonderful reasons why you have been putting up your own fight and also generously supporting the fight of others. What would your parting words be to somebody who's considering donating to the Zero COVID Patient Relief Fund that is going towards that $100,000 match?
Well, I think you give to what you can afford. I mean, people right now have responsibilities to, first, of course, you got to take care of yourself. Then you take care of your family, and then you take care of others. And to a large degree, if you go through this kind of experience, you find that there are many kinds of families. And so I have a prostate cancer family. I have a family at Johns Hopkins. I have a family of, obviously my close family. So I think taking care of each other is part of it. And as I said, if you're lucky and you've been blessed with resources to share with others, to the level of ability, if you've got the opportunity to do that, whatever you can afford, it'll make a difference to somebody else. You just said it, if somebody's worrying about paying their electric bill, when you're dealing with prostate cancer, you don't want to be worried about paying your electric bill. Mm-hmm. You need to use that energy in a positive place as opposed to worry.
Yeah.
Which just, we all know fear is a horrible factor. And so the things that we can do simply by virtue of our own financial resources to help other people, why not?
Yeah. Oh. Well, Barry, thank you. I think that's really wonderful. And you're right, any amount makes a difference. A $5 gift becomes $10. A $25 gift becomes $50. $50 becomes $100. And together, we will end this disease, and we'll be there for the people who need us right now for those financial assistance resources, the mental and emotional resources, and and all that goes along with the battle. And it looks differently for every family, but we're thankful that because of generous donors like you and like all of our supporters here on Giving Tuesday, we're going to be able to be there for the men and the families that need us the most at this time.
I'd also want to add, Sean, that I think it's really important when you're giving to know where your dollar's going. Mm-hmm. And the administrative costs associated with you guys are so low. So when I give $1, I'm not giving 60 cents and 40 cents is going somewhere else. What is your current ratio?
86 cents of every dollar goes towards the mission and programs.
So you can't do much better than that. So every dollar that I give, 86 cents of that is going to somebody like me, mm-hmm. or a family that needs it. So that's a great thing. And of course, right now it's doubled. Yeah. So better words have not been spoken. Mm-hmm. Give now, give often, right?
That's correct. Well, Barry, thanks for spending some time with us here on Giving Tuesday from your home in Greensboro, North Carolina. Give my love to everybody in your family there locally.
Right. Thanks so much, Sean.
All right. Thanks, Barry.
Good luck.